if you're going to be an entrepreneur, then you got to be good at sales. Selling is a big part of the job description. In fact, the majority of the sales effort is going to be led by you. Now, lots of people struggle with sales. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have to get over that. Or you're going to have to figure out how to hire people who are really good at sales. But in order for you to be good at hiring people for sales, you actually have to understand it. And so this is a sales training that I put together for my trainers. I have 25 trainers at the gym facility that I own, and we were teaching them a better process and a system to better identify where they were at in the sales process and how to handle meetings in a very strategic way, a system or a method and a framework. Now, I'll be honest with you, the audio got crazy and totally whacked out at the beginning of this video. And so we've been working hard to try to remedy that, but the sound could be better. It's good, but it's not great. That said, it's 30 minutes of everything I know about sales and the method that I've been teaching for nearly 15 years. I've been teaching salespeople and marketing people how to sell for a very long time. And so I had to develop systems and frameworks to take people who have the lowest level of skill and help them elevate to the highest level. And so if that's you, you're a new entrepreneur, you're trying to figure out how to train your salespeople on how to sell better, then maybe this will be helpful to you. Some of the information towards the tail end is completely irrelevant, but who cares? It's good information on sales and I hope it helps you too.
In sales and marketing. And that's candidly how I built my own personal wealth, but it's the skill set that translates the most to business out of anything else, especially in the roles and functions that you guys have. So today's lesson is going to be one part business. I'm going to touch on a little bit of marketing because those things intertwine, and I'm going to show you how they intertwine within the framework of how I think about business. And then we're going to go real deep on actual pragmatic skill set and framework around sales. We're going to talk, I think sales to most people feels very ethereal, and you haven't done it as a career professionally, it probably feels a little bit random at times, like, why was that conversation so smooth and that one felt so difficult, right? And so what you'll walk away with today is a better understanding of where you're at on the roadmap of the sales cycle, step one, as well as how to confidently run a sales meeting in a way that does one and most important thing that needs to happen in every sale is advance the sale forward, right? Advancing the sale is just kind of moving somebody to the next segment, right? But if you don't even know what the next step in the sales process or the sales cycle is, it's pretty hard, right? Because you're just kind of floating out there in limbo. We have to first discover where the customer's at, what they actually need, before I can match it to them. Well, what do we normally do in sales? I hear a problem that I have identified, and then I try to match it with one of my solutions, and then I expect some sort of result. And that's just not how psychology works, right? Almost, you have to help them come to their own. It's a lot more like therapy, and a lot less like trying to convince somebody of something. It's more of this helping them discover kind of direction. This is what's known as the law of diffusion of innovation. It's a bell curve, and it's representative of people on different life cycles. So as an example, when the iPhone came out, right? The early adopters, those are the people that stood in line for like 17 hours to get the new iPhone. When you could just win it the next week to get it off the shelf. This early majority, this group of people won't do something until somebody else has done it first. The late majority won't go until the early majority goes. And the laggards, well, the joke is the only reason that they have iPhones now is because you can't buy pagers, right? They just inevitably get forced into that solution. This is kind of you, the innovator, right? The new idea person who's bringing that to the market. So we're going to use this as a pursuit example. Me and Zach, early adopters, those are the early believers, right? They believed what we believed, right? So that's like 10% of the market. So if you go talk to 100 people, there's 10 of them in there that are just ready to go right away. However, none of you in this room are having enough conversations for that to even be possible. 100 conversations, I guarantee you that you'll find 10 ideal prospects out of 100 conversations, right? But the best salespeople in the world, they close at 30%. Why? Because I already told you that these people are easy. They were going to close anyways. They just had to find you.
But these people, they need a little bit more information. They have not quite made the connection between their problem and you being the solution. That make sense? In business, there's 8 core concepts: leadership, finance, operations, growth, product, service, sales, and marketing. In business, software engineering, there's this idea of the law of inheritance. And it says that the top line of code is the most important, because every line of code that I write after that is going to be influenced by the leadership. And so leadership is where culture exists, it's where vision exists, values, management, communication. And it dictates how we manage our finances, what we invest in, what we reinvest in, how we think about profits and losses. It dictates what type of company we have, right? How we operate the business, right? Human capital, human resources, technology, measurement. Growth is where we think about optimizing the business, so it's reinvestment, anticipating, developing a point of view, innovation, accepting change. From here up, this is what we would call like leadership function in the house. This is all out of the house, meaning this is what the client feels, right? Internally, client. Product, right? A predictable unit of value. That's what we've been developing, right? With the new PT training process, the memberships, our product offering, our pricing, all of that stuff. Service, right? It's how we maximize customer satisfaction, and it's our guarantee. It's our promise to the customer. And then you have sales, generate a point of revenue, method of sales, our sales model, which we're going to be talking about today. And you have marketing. Marketing is the lowest line of code, and it's the most comprehensive because it embodies every line above it. So the reason that I am a great business person, and why all the people I work with, who I hired that came into the world of marketing, are great business people, is because they understand sales, product, service, growth, operations, finance, and leadership. And they know how to take $1 and spend it online and convert it into return on investment that drives the business towards where it needs to go, right? So when we're talking about you guys doing marketing, it's because it's close linked to sales, right? Those things go hand in hand. Tracking me? There's solution-based selling, right? I'm hungry, here's a cheeseburger. I need something to write with, here's a pencil, right? That's a solution-based selling. And that's the lowest level of sales, and it's only works in very low ticket sales, right? I need a pencil, great, it's 50 cents. Nobody's tripping over that, right? And to some of us, $100 an hour might not be that much, right? $1,000 a month might not be that much, but it's all relative. Each individual person that we're talking to, that could be a lot, right? So we have to go from solution to relationship. So we've all had sales where we just won the business because we had a relationship with the person. But how do you go from relationship to trust with people that you just met off the street? Some of us are very charismatic, Derek's, right? You can connect with people. So instantly I can start to facilitate and build a relationship. But what is trust? How can somebody trust us? So it's a combination of taking your product knowledge and matching it perfectly to what they said their problem was, right? If I showed up to you and I'm like, my ear hurts so bad, he's like, we got to get you into the eye doctor straight away. What are you talking about, right? I'm here because I got an earache. Why am I going to the eye doctor, right? That's what we do. We're not actually listening. So I don't have to bring out everything. I just have to bring out the very specific things that match the problem. So there's a great book. If you guys want some additional reading to level up, there's a book called Speed of Trust by Stephen Covey. And it says trust is built on the back of 4 things: integrity, intent, capability, and results. So in the absence of being able to show your results, I have to be able to show that I'm capable. I have to be able to show that I have good high integrity and that my intentions are pure. And all of those things require me to do one thing and one thing only. Make it about the customer, right? You have 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? Because we're supposed to listen twice as much as we talk.
We're trying to teach you guys some basic little skills that'll hopefully move the conversation forward so that you guys can hopefully win more business. But there's a skill and a process and techniques to that are not manipulative. It's just basically you want to be able to, like Samson was saying, identify and understand and be curious enough to ask questions to figure out what their problem is.
In order for you to show that you're capable, You need to diagnose the problem. The only way you can diagnose the problem is to listen, right? It's all about establishing trust. It's about listening, right? And so in the world of sales, you have opportunities and you have prospects, right? Prospects are, I go to a networking event, these are all prospects. Opportunities are that prospect I have now identified has a problem and they meet my ideal customer profile. Okay, our ideal customer tends to have these types of qualities to them. They're probably a millennial or like a Gen X. And or they're the children, right, of a millennial or a Gen X. They probably have these types of titles, right? Manager, director, vice president, chief revenue officer, entrepreneur. They're dinks, dual income, no kids, right? Or they're dwex, duly employed with kids, right? So they're either going to be high income earners, they're going to have a family or something that looks like that, right? And they're probably in these age categories. So when you have the super sweet girl who's a college student who wants to come train with you, your first question in your mind should be, does this fit my ideal customer profile? Now, if she says, my parents are going to pay for me to do this, okay, that kind of meets this dynamic, right? There can still be challenges with that, right? Because if they're not paying for it, they don't value it. But it's, where's the money coming from? Tracking me? In sales, we say, when the conversation gets to price, conversation is over. When we would make an outbound call, lead came in, hey Dan, what's going on? This is Samson at Madwire. You filled out some content on our site. Would love to talk to you a little bit more about your business, what you're doing for marketing, more about why you reached out. And they go, yeah, hey, sounds good. And then I would take control of the situation. I'd say the purpose of today's call is to learn more about what you're doing, where you're not happy, and where you'd like to go, and we can figure out where those two things don't line up. And then I'd say, to try to capture it, is there anything specific that you'd like to cover on this call? And 99% of the time, what do you think they said? I'd like to know the cost. And I'd say, absolutely, we'll get to that after we've had an opportunity to discover more about what the problem is. Then, opposite, I would get an inbound call. Inbound call would come in. Hey, what's going on? Samson at Madwire. They'd say, hey, what's up? I'm just calling to get a little bit more about price information. I say, absolutely, that sounds great. I said, hey, tell me a little bit more about your business. Boom, I just control the conversation, right? Because when I get to price, conversation's over. Well, I just really want to know what it costs. I go, absolutely, let's talk about what you're doing now, where the problem exists, and how we might be able to solve it, and then I can help you back into a number that works. And if not, great. So it's just about, absolutely, yes, cool, we'll get to that. Tell me more about your business, right? Now, if it's over DM, that can feel a little bit clunkier because it's slower. So a better way to solve that is, hey, why don't we take 5 minutes for a phone call? Right? Cool.
Yeah, it's basically like 10, 80, 10. 10% are just easy, like boom, they're going to throw your card at you. 10% are probably never going to buy. It's the 80% that we're talking about here that makes the whole impact of having the right conversation and knowing what to say to identify what the problem is, and then hopefully you can solve it. But if you do them a disservice and don't ask enough questions to qualify and figure out, can I even potentially even help you, then somebody that wants their problem solved is not going to be opposed to that. They're just going to be like, yeah, let's meet, let's talk. That's why I'm like, hey, would you be opposed to having us, sitting down for a strategy session? I want to find out more and see if maybe what we offer even works for you. I'm not assuming anything, and I'm actually making it more of like, hey, it might work, maybe, I don't know. And then it kind of puts them off of like, cool, this is a chill conversation.
And so in those situations where you don't have an opportunity to really identify them like as the ideal customer profile, it's best to do a screening call over the phone, right? Because if you do that over the phone and you quickly identify them as not a good fit, you're not going to invite them in for a free training session. Okay, so this is where marketing connects to sales, right? Content creation, obviously we're running ads, we're creating content as a group, networking, engaging, those create opportunities to get in front of the ICP, and that's awareness, right? Everything below this is sales. And everything from loyalty to advocacy is product and service, right? So once you've identified that this is an opportunity, right, that meets the ideal customer profile, Then you move into this frame in your mind, right? This is how we're moving them down the sales cycle. From they are now aware of me, to they're considering, to they're interested, and now they're a customer. Right? There are, and everybody needs to write these down. There are 10 stages in the sales cycle, or what we would call commitments. 10 commitments. The first commitment is a commitment to time. That's the first sale. If you're not even willing to give me 15 to 30 minutes to have a discovery call or come in for a free training session for us to talk, I'm not even wasting my time thinking about what I'm going to sell you, right? Because I haven't even got past commitment number 1, which is a commitment of time. If you're not willing, if you're just calling me for the price and you're not willing to sit down or have whatever, there's no commitment of time. So don't even waste your time. So your first sale, the only thing you have to worry about is I just got to get a commitment of their time.
Yep.
I don't have to talk about price. I don't have to talk about the solution. I might have some ideas, but I don't even know enough information if they're not willing to give me their time. Oh well. Commitment number 2, commitment to explore, meaning discovery. We're going to talk about what have you been doing? Why are you here? Right? My favorite question to ask in sales is, you clearly reached out because you're not getting something that you hope that you would be. What is that? Right? And it really simply, the exploration process is, where are you at and where do you want to go? And where those two things don't line up. I want to have 6-pack abs. Awesome. Well, 6-pack abs. I don't have 6-pack abs. I want 6-pack abs. Okay, great. Let's break that down. Tell me more about what you're doing right now for your nutrition. Tell me more about what you're doing right now for your training. Got it. Now, once I understand all those things, I'm not selling training services or nothing. I'm saying, hey, you want 6-pack abs. The gap is, to get 6-pack abs, these are the things that you need to be doing that you're not doing. Does that make sense? That's exploration. I'm not saying in order to get 6-pack abs, you need to train with me, right? I'm saying in order to get 6-pack abs, you need to be doing these things. And the way, how you get there, because you don't have the knowledge clearly, is by training with me. Now, before I can sell them to make a decision, right? Because this is what we do. Oh, I got it. We did some exploration, sell. No, we got to go through all this, right? I have to make sure that they're committed to change, right? How painful is this problem for you, right? Mrs. Customer, what you just told me is for the last 20 years, you've lost the same 20 pounds over and over again. And you're tired of being on the hamster wheel. Are you ready to get off the hamster wheel? Because what you've been doing to lose that same 20 pounds is not working. This is adversarial sales, right? You want this thing, I'm going to sell it to you. You're going to buy it. It's going to be awesome. Versus commitment to time, explore, we agreed that we're committed to change. And we said, look at this problem over here. Don't you hate that problem? That problem sucks, right? Now, the next piece of sales, which is the most frustrating, is the commitment to gain consensus. The moment that you identify that there is somebody else in the decision-making process, fortunately, guess what happens? This starts all over again. Because I now need to do exploration with him to make sure I understand how he sees the problem, right? And then he's got to be willing to support that change, right? Does that make sense? But if you just skip this commitment to gain collaboration, a lot of times there's conversations happening behind closed door that you don't even get to participate in. Don't rush it. That's the point, right? You worked hard to get the opportunity. Don't rush it. Because it might only be delayed by a week or 2 weeks. But if you rush it, you never get another shot. Well, then obviously we have consensus. It's going to be an investment, right? You have to gain the commitment to invest. We're breaking these down slowly. Sometimes this happens super fast, right? Sometimes you're just like, and you're through all this, right? The commitment to review, that's, hey, we're gonna work through this pricing, and you're gonna ask me questions, and you can't be afraid of that stuff, right? Why 3 days a week? Why not 2, right? Right? Or this is my schedule, or whatever it is, right? We got to review it together. It's all kind of part of collaboration. And then we got to resolve concerns. Now, that freaks people out. It's often called objection handling, right? Concerns are just closing the gap on things that maybe you don't understand. They're not bad. What's the worst objection that you can get? The worst objection you can get is the one the customer never tells you. I need to think about it. And then you never hear from them again. That's the worst objection. So you should be like, yo, hey, do you have concerns, right? And then obviously decision made and execute. So this concept of closing is just a result of doing good by the customer, right? So by focusing on these commitments, salespeople can build trust, demonstrate value, and guide their clients through the buying journey in a way that leads to successful and mutually beneficial outcomes, right? Kinesthetic learning, I'm going to ingrain the sales process into your body, okay? The first step of the sales process is to, everybody, plan. Ready? Do it. Plan. That's the first step. Tony, what's the first step in the sales process? Plan. Okay, cool. The second step in the sales process, the second step in the sales process is to open. Sliding glass door. Open. Katie, what's the second step? No. Joe, what's the first step? Sorry,
Right here.
I was thinking open.
Right here.
The third step is to identify. Cool. What was the second step? Oh, show me the gesture. What was the first step? Cool. And what was the third step? Identify. Cool. I don't have one for confirm, but we're going to make it up right now. Confirm.
Yeah.
The stamp of approval. The third one, recommend.
Say it like that. Recommend.
And then the third one, close. Close just means advance, right? We're going to close the loop and set next steps, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So the first step in the process is what, Joe? Plan. The second one? Open. The third? Identify. Even the gestures. Oh, identify. No. There we go.
Yeah.
That was going to do it. Recommend. All right, from the top. Ready? Plan. Right? Open. Discover. Identify. Recommend.
Feature's getting lost.
Oh, yeah. We added confirm.
Confirm. This is close.
Okay.
Clap as it close.
Ready? Close. Recommend. Confirm. Identify. Open. Plan. I'm seeing. You're laughing, but you're all going to remember.
Do this 100 times when you leave today.
Okay, so this is my favorite part of the sales call because it's the important piece in taking control of the conversation. And it's the open. This is the stage of the phone call when I set the agenda for the phone call. Everybody write this down. The method, how you are going to do this, is represented by the acronym POINT. POINT, which stands for purpose, outline, input, transition. If you can do this one thing in sales, you would be amazed at how much better every meeting will go. But I want to grab that objection. I want to grab that thing that's going to prevent them from really listening to you. Because if they're just thinking that through the whole conversation, this sounds expensive. How many people have had that where you're in a meeting and the conversation is kind of getting stagnant and you can almost feel like the temperature of the room going up, and then they go, okay, well, what does it cost? And then the conversation is open. So I want to grab that, I want to park it, I want to put it on my agenda. This is my meeting. I own the frame. I'm doing the discovery. You came to me and not the other way around. And here's my agenda of things that we want to cover, and this goes at the bottom. Cool? So purpose, your outline is the agenda. Here's the things we're going to cover today. So I use this frame for whether it's marketing, whether it's business, whether it's exercise. I say, hey, the purpose of today's meeting is I want to know more about what you have been doing, and I want to know more about where you're going, and most importantly, I want to understand why all of a sudden you're thinking about making a change. Right? That's that commitment to change. I'm already building into the conversation the way that I want to go. Tracking it? Why is using point to set the agenda? Why is using point to set the agenda important? Because it gives the client a clear objective for the call and offers space for the client to tell me what they want to talk about. This ensures I can control the discussion. Like price, it gives me clear transition to the next stage of the call. Identify, stage 3, identify, ultimately keeps me in control of the conversation. And sometimes it will even lead you to them saying what they don't want to talk about. Like, whatever we do, I don't want to talk about nutrition. That's cool, right? You just take that in stride, right? Cool. All right. Identify, this is pretty simple. I just call it the CDE method. Current, desired, and expectations. Here's where you're at currently. Here's where I want to go. What are my expectations about how that is possible or how that's going to happen? Very basic. It's where are you at versus where do you want to go? Where those two things don't line up is the selling gap. And that's where we fill our solution. So we fit in, here's how we're going to help you. Confirm is just before I'm going to fill the selling gap and tell you, I'm just going to make sure I got it all figured out. It'll trigger another. Let me ask one more question before I move forward. It'll help you, gives you a chance to breathe before you start making recommendations. Cool. The next one's making a recommendation. It's just, hey, we discovered this thing. Here's how we fix it. The simplest strategy to do that, just you're going to write this down, is LFBB. Link, feature, bridge, benefit. LFBB. Link, feature, bridge, benefit. Levi, you said this thing, right? Link. Here's this aspect of what we do. Feature. Bridge is just a you statement. The reason that this is important to you is benefit, right? So you guys want a sales book to read? It's a very analytical book, or you just want to go research on the topic. It's a book called SPIN Selling, S-P-I-N. It's an acronym for situation, implication, situation, problem, implication, need, payoff. They looked at 20,000 sales calls across 25 different countries. So language was not the determining factor. They said, what made the sales call go well and what made the sales call go bad? In lower level salespeople, they got stuck asking situation questions. So they would say something like, hey, so tell me why you're here today. That's very situational, right? Oh, I'm here today because I want to get some training. Awesome. Well, what kind of training do you want? Situations. You know that? Better salespeople took situation questions and asked problem questions, right? Hey, I got it. You want some training? Tell me about your training right now. Situational question that sets me up to say, well, what is it about your training that you're not currently happy with? Problem question. So the difference?
And the key in all this too is that they're telling you and you're asking the questions so they tell you. What you say is opinion, what they say is fact. So that's why it's super important for you to ask the questions, shut up and have them tell you, because that's truth to them.
Oh, I closed him. Right? You've all heard that. Oh, I closed the sale. No, you just close the next stage. What are our next steps, right? This is the stage of the phone call, the meeting, but I set clear and precise next steps for the next meeting, right? Which it could be collecting the call and we're going to get you set up with you're collecting the money, we're going to get you set up with your trainer or our sessions or whatever. It could be, hey, on our next meeting, after we had this free session, because we didn't have time to explore, we're going to set up a follow-up. Right? It's going to, hey, I'm going to put together this plan and I'm going to present it to you. Because sometimes you're just not going to be able to do this whole thing in one meeting, right? It might be broken up over something, right? Which is takes me back to why it's important to make sure we're working with our ICP who's got the money to be able to close. It's a real opportunity, and we're not doing what we do in sales, which is what we call don't pitch, bitch. which means don't pitch the person that has no decision-making power or authority or is not the right person for your ICP. You're just wasting so much hours of your life on opportunity that could be spent with somebody who's your perfect client, right? Again, I'm always seeking the no. I want to know, because behind no, if they didn't care or they didn't express a concern, they just would hang up and never call you back. So behind that is like the real problem that you're trying to get to. Okay? First step in sales process is plan. Second, open. Third, confirm.
Recommend.
Third hands, right? The framework for objection handling, which is just, hey, I have this concern, right? The concern might be, ooh, I'm concerned. I've never spent that much on training before. And what do? Start justifying why, oh, you know, you're blah, 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 we got bills to pay, you know, whatever. I don't know what you're, hopefully you don't say that, you know. But we go from hearing the objection to responding. The first step when you hear an objection is to understand or clarify. Hey, if I'm hearing you right, you just literally rephrase it back to them. Hey, if I'm hearing you right, you've never spent this much on training before. Is that right? Cool. I'm restating it back to them. If that's right, then I move over to the cushion. If it's not right, they give me more information. I keep clarifying until I fully understand it. So I understand it. They've never spent that much on training before. That's a very valid concern. The cushion is just empathy. Hey, dude, I get it, man. Like, this is a really big decision, right? To invest $1,000 a month in your life when you're so used to putting everybody else first. That's a really big decision. But here's what I do know. If you don't change the situation, it's not going to be good for you. You're the one that communicated that to me. So I get it, but I'm with you through this whole thing. And at the end of the day, this is an investment. And when you're healthier and fitter and, you know, not going to the doctor all the time, how much money are you going to save, right? So you want to soften the blow. You don't want to go, remember, we're not going to bat with them. Well, this isn't war. It's, oh, I get that. Yeah. Fuck that concern, right? Let's go get that concern. We're in this together. Does that make sense, right? The moment you're like, you're the problem and we're doing this, which is how these situations can get. So you've got to remember, it's the problem, it's the concerns, and we're solving it together. Cool? This is designed to help you in that. Hey, I'm here to listen and serve. I'm the prize. I got everything. The only thing they have is money. I'm here to help them, right? And if you're just like a good coach, just listening to what's going on and trying to help you solve the problem. Right? A good coach doesn't say, hey, I just need you to run faster. A good coach goes, your hip flexors look pretty tight. Everything all right? Oh, yeah, I came in and squatted when I should have. Let's not do that again before training. Right? Like, that's like a good coach, right? They don't just say run faster. What's wrong with you? Again, we're trying to move all our training to a year. Again, this is designed to help you guys with retention, the stickiness of it all, the commitment from the customer, right? When we first started, people said, $100 an hour? That's crazy, right? This didn't happen because we were selling $50 an hour. When we moved to 3-month commitments, crazy. 6-month commitments, crazy. Now we're moving to 12, right? Here's the price. You want to come train with me? It's 12 months. I can't change your life. We already know this process. We've done this. Very few people are coming through the door that are you looking for training, right? Most of the people coming through the door are looking, they're like general population looking for somebody to help them change their life. That's a long process.